So hello, everyone. Well, if you're an entrepreneur or a professional who has neither the time nor the budget available to you for social media marketing or to fix the terrible kinks that are in your website, we know there are plenty, right? We all have them. Today's guest may be your solution for all of that. And also, and this is important, to create some real impact while fixing all these problems, right? So today you'll meet Tyler Clark, co-founder of Zawadi, and that's Zawadie, correct, Tyler, right? An outsourcing platform that helps to break the bonds of poverty for refugees. That is a big one right there, Tyler. He will explain the concept, but what I particularly love is what he shared with me the first time he explained Zawadi to me. He said, any $50 of work brings an entire family out of poverty through good, honest work instead of charity. So really, there is something to be said about dignity through self-sustainability, and I think we all agree with that. Tyler knows a thing or two about that, given his background in impact work, and I know that because I've known Tyler for a few years. So that is one reason I really want to bring him forward to you and let him share a little bit about Zawadi. Now, I'm Mary Keurig. I'm the host of Frontrunners Innovate and also a global business developer that conducts business development that changes people's lives. It's all about genuine connection. So let's get to know Tyler and how Zawadi can make a difference for you. So Tyler, welcome. And we appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us today and telling us a little bit about this new endeavor that's about 2 months old or 2 months in launch, right? And yeah, let's find out about you first. And I know you, but let's let everybody else find out a little bit about you. So what brought you into this kind of work? What in your background moved you towards impact and particularly into this type of impact?
Yeah, no, first off, thanks, Mary, for having me on. Like, it's always a pleasure to talk with you and connect. And well, not sometimes I think we should interview you, like you get involved with, right?
Someday.
Yeah, someday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't plan on it. So I started with humanitarian work about 6 years ago. Me and my wife, we had spent some time in Mexico. Had a request to help build the library. I was in the middle of my MBA program, and we just did our own project, did what we could, and helped them build a library. And then we kept getting requests, so we kept building. People heard about what we were doing and got involved. And 6 years later, we have Village Library with 22 libraries all throughout Africa, Latin America, and 3 in Nepal. And so it's been an adventure, and you know, through that process, anyone that's working in humanitarian work, you learn a lot. You learn it's not easy. It's not just, oh, I'm going to build this and it's all going to change, right? There's a lot of, impact. How do you really make sure, how do you make sure a reading culture gets established? How do you make sure security? And we've had a lot of success with keeping kids in school. Village Library can take the dropout rate from around 68% down to about 9-10%. With their libraries, which is great. But then you hear statistics where, in Malawi, for example, it's 40% of college grads don't have jobs, right? And that's not unique, and that's college grads. And so we started this new venture. We partnered with some tech companies out here in Utah because we had a library in a refugee camp, and while we were down there, we noticed there's 60,000 people in this camp, and many of them have PhDs. They have master's degrees, because whenever there's a coup in their country, a lot of times they're the old government's the first one to get ran out, and they're just sitting around and they have nothing to do. And it's soul sucking to go from that status of life, that hard work to build your business or whatever, and it's all taken away from you in a night, and then you're in the worst level of poverty. So we partnered with some tech companies, did some pilot programs to see, can we train them to do remote work? That was very successful. And so 2 months ago, we started Zawadi.
That's your step aside. When I met you, yeah, you were working with Village Books, and we've done, like a laptop project together, and a couple of things I've introduced you to some people in my network, but this is a whole new thing. I have seen lots of outsourcing projects come and go, but I have not seen one like this that actually targeted a particular area that was really a refugee camp. So, you know, that explains kind of why the refugee camp, that was why you started
Yep.
there. And is it because, so Malawi came about because you knew about the refugee camp? So you didn't really target Malawi, you targeted the refugee camp that you knew about, correct?
Correct. And a lot of this, because we had a library there,
Yeah,
and we had a great, so Village, I know it's kind of confusing going back and forth, but
yeah, that's all
with
right.
Village Library, we had a great partnership with Ubuntu, which is an amazing organization down there. And they requested a library, we built it, the library was very successful. But in the course of being down there, you know, and talking to people are like, oh, you have a master's degree, what are you doing? Nothing. They're like, oh, can't you find jobs? And they're like, no,
No.
there's nothing. And we're like, what? You speak 6 languages. Like, why aren't you working? And they're like, well, we don't have internet connectivity. We don't, you know, every time I try to reach out, they think I'm a scammer from Nigeria or something, right? And so anyway, we talked to some tech companies, and it's been very successful so far.
You know, you mentioned the connectivity issue. That is an issue over in Malawi, and we talked about that right before we came on record. And that was one of my big questions to ask you: is how have you solved that issue? Since most of the work that your refugees are doing, your talent, I should say, would need the internet. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So in general, with the areas that we're at, Village Library is very good with connectivity. You know, it's not just a library, but it's also internet connection. Just like we're talking, you can mentor a kid.
yeah.
It's kind of some cool services. So we had that to begin with, but recently the real game changer was Starlink is now in Malawi. And it's actually cheaper than the other internet by like a third. And the connectivity is amazing. When we were installing it, it was cloudy and rainy the whole week, and the internet was perfect. And we can have, with the connection we have set up, we can have up to 60 computers on it, which we have 60 computers set up at our site. So we're ready to grow and get these guys jobs.
Fantastic. I think when we were communicating initially about this, you are settled and launching in this one area, but you do expect to expand a bit, correct?
We do. We have a lot of talks about this because, you know, we're really passionate about helping these refugees, right? But at the same time, like we could set this up in Nigeria, we could set this up in Kenya. Like there's a lot of opportunities to people that are in similar circumstances. So we'll see. Right now, we are strictly refugees. So if we open up another site, it might be in a site in Kenya. They have a much larger camp. It's like 300,000, right? So outside of Nairobi. This is crazy, Mary. I didn't know this, but there are 10 million camp refugees in Africa.
Yeah.
That just blows my mind.
It is too. That's spread out throughout the entire continent.
Yep.
Wow. That's sad. That's a sad number.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, let's dig into a little bit of the type of work that the talent does, and maybe answer a few questions that other people might have on their mind. And I can share a few because I have been one of those that had some outsourced talent, so I can I ask a few of those questions. But tell us what they do. What kind of outsourced projects?
Yeah. We started with lead generation and data entry for the tech companies, but now we've branched off to event planning, virtual assistant, also web design, graphic design. The truth is, in the camp we estimate there's anywhere from 5,000 to 6,000 of this educated, skilled talent. And one thing that in the camp other NGOs have done an amazing job with is helping the refugees get these talents. The thing that's been missing is actually the last step of helping them get a job or work, right?
Yeah.
It's very hard for them to go on Fiverr or other things to go on there, and it's just hard. And so with us being, you know, American facing, I can actually meet with these individuals, so it shows them, hey, this isn't a scam, this is real, right? It helps get that break. So really the point is like we can do, as long as I can find the talent, they can do almost anything. We were talking with a tech firm and they want to use us during their peak seasons. So we have a bunch of the individuals that have learned Azure, .NET, a lot of these analytical tools, and they, to be honest, like this is all they have at the camp. So they will dive all in with whatever, and they're so hungry to work, not to get charity, not to get a handout. They want to work.
Right.
Yep.
So even data analytics and research and those sorts of things, writing, that'd be good. Okay.
Yeah,
and they're good with English, maybe? Do we have
their
any
English is
language?
really, some of them, their English, you can hardly even tell they have an accent, but most of them, like speaking, you can tell it's a thicker accent, but their written English is perfect. It's better than mine.
I have a mentee who's 16
much.
who speaks better English than I do, and she's in Tanzania. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I would put her
English
up against anybody here in the US. I really would.
No, same with them. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, and we talked about payment systems and everything, and because you're sort of in the middle and you're kind of watching all this and kind of the gateway yourself, the guardian, so you're making sure everything kind of works the way it needs to work. The communication works the way it needs to, the plan of work or whatever that gets moved forward needs to happen. I noticed on the website, I think there's packages. And you can really, I mean, what is the lowest end of the package? Because I think they're beyond reasonable at this point. I mean,
yeah. It's so the lowest end. So what we do is we classify different jobs and we have different teams. We have the draft team, the elephant team, and the lion team. Kind of fun. It's Africa.
Yeah.
Right. So the lowest end is $5 billable hour. And we also quote on the front end. So there's no hidden costs, there's no contracts, there's no nothing. So for example, I got a customer reached out this morning and said, hey, can you do this for me? I went in, estimated how long it was going to take, and said, all right, every time we do this, it's $5 per hour, so $5 per project, and then we'll actually quote on the front end. So we'll complete the project. We also guarantee everything we do. So if you don't like it, we'll go back and fix it, right?
Fantastic.
And so anyway, $5 for that, $7 for a little bit more technical jobs. And then of course our highest one is the $10. That's the web design, graphic design, where you get some real talent. But that's it. That's as high as it goes.
That's fantastic. And are you getting good feedback already? I know it's only yeah.
No, great. I mean, this space is crowded. The outsourcing space is crowded. But the truth is, like, so far we're the only ones I can say, hey, just give me like a $50-$100 project and it will bring 10 people out of poverty. Right.
I love that.
And people, business owners are good people. They want to make an impact.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing, instead of saying, hey, we're hiring this sweatshop in the Philippines or India. And I'm not trying to make a judgment call. There are some good places that do this.
Yeah.
But instead of doing that, we send PR, we send stories. And so that way, what they do is these companies that are hiring us, they take these stories and they share it with their employees, they share it with their customers. And it's like, hey, look, we brought this family of 10 out of poverty. They all bought shoes with the last project we did for them, Like it's a cool
It's a
thing.
twofer. I mean, I love it. You get your work done and you make a difference in somebody's life. And I don't know that it gets much better than that. I mean, it's social impact with, a bow on top. It's almost like it's social impact is the first thing, and then you get the work that accompanies it. But so are there, now I haven't looked deeper into the website to see if there's examples on the website, but do you have demos or examples that are there, or do you think that you will have soon? I know it's only 2 months old.
That's a really good idea to have that, especially on the graphic design front.
Yeah, I was thinking, or any website, examples or something like that. Particularly, I noticed from some people who are offering website services that I see all the time are always offering 2 or 3 examples of what they do.
We should. That's a good idea. So I'll put that out. We started collecting some testimonials, graphic design. We're just finishing up a website, so that would be good to put them up there. But truth be told, like I'm not just saying this, but the last project we had for graphic design, not only were we a third of the cost of what she was paying on Fiverr for someone else to do,
Yeah,
but she said, like, this is the best job I've seen.
yeah.
And it was done by a guy named Riches. He's a refugee from the Congo. He's self-taught. And, he would just sit there on his notebook, and write out what needs to be done on the computer the next day, put it all up. And they take a lot of pride in their work, and it also means that their family's coming out of poverty. Right.
That's fantastic. I noticed that at one point, the last time I was paying somebody that was outsourced, that there was a fee on top of the fee that I was paying there, and it was an add-on fee, and I cannot remember the name that it was given because it was like a service fee. Is
We
that
don't do that.
applicable in this
We
case?
don't do that. And we
Okay.
hear that a lot, that like they'll advertise it's like $6-7 per hour, and then you end up paying $15 per hour. We don't do that.
Mhm.
So that's
Okay.
why everything we do, we quote up front.
So whatever the $5 an hour is what that is, right?
It
Whatever
is what
you
it is.
quote
We're
is what
never
it
gonna,
is.
we're
Yeah.
never gonna send you another bill. And if you don't like the bill, then it's up front. We haven't done any work, and that's that. So it's just really clean cut and done.
Well, it sounds like project work, but are there people that get hired for, like, say, VA work for longer contracts or longer periods, ongoing periods of time?
You can hire us as a service, but that's where the complication comes with hiring refugees. We can't hire them we can't do contracts with them. They have to be available in case they go to the United States or Canada or whatever.
Oh, they get moved. Yeah.
Right. And so that's just part of refugee law. What we can do though is we can have teams. So for example, if you want to hire Zawadi to do, your graphic design work for the next year, we have a team that will work on that, which means that, one individual might come to the United States or leave, but because we have a team, we're able to adapt it.
Somebody else pick up.
Right. So according to the refugee law, we have to do it that way. But with that said, most refugees stay in the camp for like 15 years. I don't think people know about that. They really shouldn't call them camps. They're cities. Like,
yeah,
they always
it's not
have
like I
these
think
out.
there's 25 people in a tent city or something or a village for a short period of time, like a month or two. They're there for a long time.
No, and
Yeah, and a large group.
No,
Yeah.
that's the plight with refugees. Everything's set up, all the laws are set up for temporary because it's a camp, but it's not the reality. Most refugees are there some of our workers are from the Rwanda genocide. Just to give you an idea, one guy, he was born in Rwanda. His parents fled right during the Rwanda genocide. He's been in the camp for 20 years now. Like it's 15 or 20. I'm not sure on the number, but it's a long time.
Wow, that's amazing. And do they go to school there? And
their
life is there.
Yeah, there's schools there. It's a city. They have a marketplace. They have their own economy. They have all this stuff. It's still the worst conditions you've ever seen. Even me and you, I'm sure we've traveled a lot. We've seen that. We've seen it. But I was in tears the first time I went through. It's hard.
So how about is there a diversity, gender diversity in the mix that you have there of the talent that you work with?
Yeah, we try to do 50-50 men and women coming in. We also try, there's politics there, so we're trying to make sure we have people from Ethiopia, Congo, from the different areas. So yes.
Okay, so try to kind of balance out the opportunities there, because that would be difficult if you didn't.
Yeah, and we also need to be really picky with who we hire. Mostly because we went out for 1 hour to find people that were interested. We had 500 people sign up, and it actually got a little bit too crowded, a little bit violent. We had
no kidding.
Everyone wants a job. And so because of that, we try to hire the best of the best, and we're trying to get more and more jobs to hire everyone. But right now, which as a customer is great because you get the cream of the crop. But for us, we're trying to hire as many as we can just because the need is crazy.
So you have boots on the ground people there that are coordinating everything, I'm sure, with you. Is there somebody who trains or keeps people up with their skills and helps them to solve problems that pop up that are more technical than they know about? Or
Yep,
you
yep.
got?
So we have two things. One of our co-founders is actually, he lives there in Malawi, right?
Okay.
So he goes there regularly just to make sure everything's good. As well as we partner, have mentors. So what we
Yeah.
do is just like we're talking, we connect like the best
Oh,
UX
gotcha.
web
Yeah.
designer. And
Yeah.
like yesterday, he met with our team of web designers and just shows them like, hey, here's the latest things. Here's how you do this, how you do that. And we do that regularly because we're even though we operate in terms of, we're selling services and it's provide, we're still a nonprofit. Our main
Yeah.
goal is like a goodwill, like in the United States, we help provide jobs and training so
Mhm.
these individuals can get off their feet, right? And so because of that, we can reach out to corporations and say, hey, how would your best graphic designer,
Yeah.
could she mentor our graphic designers on the ground, share with them the skills, which in turn our customers get the best training of refugees that are not only have certificates in those things, but they're also trained by the best talent in the United States.
Fantastic. So, and that leads me to ask you about the local support around the refugee. I mean, you mentioned earlier on like some kind of a partnership that was another NGO maybe that was. You said they were really good about being helpful. Are there other local NGOs there, or government, or any other individuals or other organizations that have been supportive of you?
Yeah, yeah. So Ubuntu and Village Library, of course, are our main partners. Fraternidade Sem Fronteiras, which is a Brazilian organization. They've also been a huge support to us, mostly providing a safe, secure place for the refugees to work in, as well as, when we're looking for new people or how to connect with the community, you reach out to them because they have the great connections. And they love it too, because they have the same goal. They want to bring people out of poverty, and there's no better way to bring a person out of poverty than providing them a job.
True. That's the sustainable way for sure. So what other partners might you be looking for as you move forward?
So as we grow, of course, as we grow to different camps, partners with them as well. But right now, our biggest focus is just getting the word out. You know,
So people with large networks
with large networks, businesses, because really we're just trying to like, hey, we can do this a third of the cost, a fraction of the cost of what you're paying now. Plus, you impact, you make a difference, your corporate social responsibility. Because right now, what keeps me and my partners up every night is that, great, we have 80 people so far that come out of poverty. There's 60,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And every day we get messages like, hey, boss, is there any work for me yet? And we're like, we're trying as fast as we can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so networks, just connections with business. I mean, even with nonprofits, if you need work to be done, we'll give a discount to nonprofits because most of the refugees, they've been benefited by nonprofits. They're more than happy to help with that.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
So this is funny. I mean, I usually would ask this question about what are your goals from here forward, and it would be more businessy as an answer. And now I think probably you would answer me with how many families you would take out of poverty.
Right.
But so by the end of 2024, what is the goal? What do you want to reach?
So by the end of 2024, we calculate this up. So we have two different metrics. We have the agents we want to hire, but whenever we hire an agent, it also brings the whole family out of poverty.
Yeah.
So by the end of the year, we want 640 people out of poverty by the end of the year, which means we have 80 agents. We call them agents instead of refugees.
Okay, gotcha.
But 80 people hired full time in our center.
Wow. Okay. Do you see that as being doable?
I do, actually.
Yeah.
I do. I have, after this call, I got 3 more customer meetings after this, and it's so great. Which the beautiful thing is, I have the refugees filling my calendar with these business leads. They go out and they find them, they email them, and then I just meet with them. Yeah. And so I love it for our business.
Yeah, this is all good. There's no downside on this at all. And I hope that anybody that might see this in Malawi goes, yes, this is amazing. And all those other NGOs, because we do work with some other organizations that are, you know, like I said, there's one that's there now. There'll be another one, an NGO partner that we have that will be in Malawi here shortly on a trip herself. I hope they
Yep.
get a chance to visit the operation, or at least have a chance to talk to you and get
Me
more
too.
information and see how there might be a piece of the model that works with them. And you know, that would be a great thing. And also let it trickle out to the rest of Malawi and let them all know. And then other areas that may be listening.
Right.
And, you know, we do have some former, I would say former refugees that are diaspora from Africa that are now kind of sprinkled throughout from different areas of the US and all the way up to the UK. And so, you know, this is, I'm sure, will gladden their heart to know this is happening. So be
I hope so.
supportive, everybody. There is absolutely nothing to lose here that I can see. There's no downside. So we would engage everyone that's listening here to you know, get involved in some way. And like he said, think of the impact first, and then think of the wonderful talent that you get on the backside of this. And if you've got a project coming, there's no reason to put it off now. So get it going on. You don't need a big budget for it at this point. So thank you so much, Tyler, for bringing this to our attention and letting us have an opportunity to put a spotlight on it. And we look forward to maybe hitting you up again with another opportunity at this point, maybe to bring a couple of your talents on and have them chat with us a little bit. That would be kind of neat. Maybe in a few months.
I would love that.
Yeah,
that.
that
Yeah,
would be
that'd be
nice.
awesome. No, thank you,
Fantastic.
Mary. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, well, stay on with me for just a second. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody else. You know what your job is now. Go to their website. We will have it in the details. So if you're on YouTube, look in the details. You'll have the link to it. If you're on our website, you know, frontrunnersinnovate.com, look down there. You'll have the way to get in touch with Tyler. You'll have the link to the website. So be sure to check it out and do the right thing. Okay. So bye to everybody from now. Happy front running. Thank you, Tyler.